Hello everyone and welcome to our Game Week 9 preview show. I'm Chris and Kieran is here too. Hey Keek, how are you?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good, yeah, I'm alright. I'm looking forward to getting back to FPL this weekend. The international break, it's been good for England, but it feels like it's dragged a bit.
Indeed.
Yeah, I know, so looking forward to getting back to it. So, hi to everyone watching, either live or the recap. We did our show last week and we did a lot of chat about Game Week 9, so we're going to go over some sort of different topics this week because I don't know about you, apart from maybe Robertson getting injured, I don't feel like there's much FPL news that's come out of the international break. Players have had minutes that you kind of expect, but there's no other big injuries, is there?
Nothing huge,
Maybe?
but I have written at the end of my notes just notable mentions from the international break. So are we going into this straight
Yeah,
away?
why
We
not?
might as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so Romero from Spurs, he came off injured / uncomfortable, as they said. So yeah, hopefully that's not too bad because they're definitely a worse defense without him. Rashford obviously scored. Only got minutes in the second game, but that was, I guess, the first choice team against Italy. Took his goal well. I was screaming for him to pass it because you know what he's been like this season. So, but obviously that should be a little bit of a confidence boost for him. Bruno, 1 goal, 2 assists across 2 games, which is nice. Son played 90 in the first time, basically forever. Which was good for him. He took a knock at the half time, but said afterwards in his interview that he was all good, so that's fine. Haaland 2 goals in his first game and then blanked against Spain, I think it was the next game, but played 77 minutes and then 90 in the one against Spain. So fine. Saka obviously didn't play anything, pulled out of the England camp with his injury, so imagine he's probably going to be fine. He usually, you know, this time is probably enough to have gotten him fit. I think it was just a bit of like an ankle roll or something, wasn't it? So he should be fine. Yeah, Watkins played in the first game for England against Australia, got a goal, kept up his form, and then
had a price rise as well.
He did, yeah, which was nice.
Yeah.
And then you Doggy, first choice for Italy now at left back. Yeah, it is left back. Yeah, ahead of DeMarco, the Inter player. So yeah, that's pretty big for him, it seems like. So yeah, he should obviously be nailed in our teams and stuff. And he nearly scored against England. So yeah, he looked good going forward. So that's good for him. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it was a fairly decent showing for most of like the main, I'd say like the template players, if you like, in the international break, and nothing luckily too concerning really. But all right, well, if we move on, so like I said, we had a bit of a change of format because we did such an in-depth Game Week 9 preview last week and picked out some of the best fixtures. We thought perhaps that we'd mainly just talk about players who are almost like differentials that we'd like to own over the coming months that we don't own at the moment, and hopefully maybe this will, I don't know, these are like our own picks that we'd like in our teams, and I think it's probably worth talking about them. So do you want to start with Martinelli, because he's sort of going under the radar a little bit percentage ownership wise? He scored against City.
Yeah, so 4.2% owned, and that's clearly because obviously he was out for I think 3+ games. So yeah, the ownership now that he's back fit, he played I think it was like I think he came on in the second half and scored against City.
Yeah,
so obviously
right.
he is back. I don't think he's played any in the international break, as far as I know. I should probably check that out. But yeah, he's back and fit. Obviously there still is that rotation risk with Trossard, but he's got a yellow flag in FPL as well. Not actually sure what's up with that, but something to keep an eye on. And obviously, yeah, he has actually only had 1 early sub this season, and he started every game he's been fit. So maybe there isn't that much of a risk. Like even at the end of last season, everyone thought he was going to be dropped for a few games, and he really wasn't really. So yeah, the early sub came in game week 2, and he still played about 70-ish minutes. So yeah, I think as someone in obviously a really good Arsenal team, we've seen him haul and be really consistent before at that ownership and only 7.7 million. He seems like a really good one to target. And obviously from game week 10, that's when we'll probably look to get him in for the Sheffield United game. Newcastle away is not bad for attack wise, I think. And then Burnley, Brentford, Wolves, Luton, like that. Those really nice fixtures for Arsenal are great. And you know, we've had triple uppers in attacks before, double uppers in attacks, and yeah, Martinelli is obviously one of those that is good. It's a choice between possibly if like obviously Saka is going to be the one that's a go-to, and rightly so. Then there's obviously Odegaard. He's been hauling this season as well. There is Jesus, who I guess is an option too. If you're looking for that sort of bit more expensive, sort of a differential or a different option to Watkins, I guess, at that 8 million-ish price. But then there's Martinelli in the midfield, extra points for goals and stuff at 7.7 million.
No,
why not?
I think he's nice, and Arsenal have got some good, like you say, some really good fixtures coming up, and I feel like it's been a time because of Saka's injury. A lot of people have shed all their Arsenal assets for that City and probably Chelsea game. A lot of players played well. I mean, you had two Arsenal players. You've now got none, and I think after that Chelsea.
Well, I've got Gabriel on the bench.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You got Gabriel on the bench, but that still is an interesting question for these runner fixtures. Do you think there's more value in their defence and their attack? I mean, Gabriel coming back and being so cheap. Zinchenko's come back in and he looks like a decent pick in defence. I think he's one of the highest for baseline bonus in the games he's played so far this season. He's coming off like around 70 to 80 minutes most games. So if they've got a clean sheet sort of banked at that point, he's going to get that and maybe still.
Yeah, that's not bad for him, is it? Yeah.
No, so I think he's quite a good option. Obviously, Saliba's 5-2. So I mean, it's something I was looking at when that Sheffield United game comes around. I was thinking, right, I've got to get a Arsenal defender in place, but is it also a time to get a double attacker? And when Martinelli's now, what's that, 0.7-ish cheaper than Odegaard, and potentially more explosive, it might be, he might be worth a look rather than, I don't know, someone who's perhaps more nailed on. I don't know.
Yeah, so I had penciled in like a Son to back to a Saka after these really good three good fixtures for Spurs. But I think quite a few people seem to be on Twitter trying to sell Maddison instead and keeping Son, which is, I guess, is an option. But I don't know if I could do that with my sort of funds. I could get a Martinelli, but I wouldn't be able to get a Saka. So I guess I feel like Maddison could almost be a season keeper. But then Son is probably on penalties. We still actually don't know. It's a tough one. But I do want to be on the Arsenal attackers, especially one of them from that game. Yeah, for sure.
I think they have bought. They obviously had that game against Bournemouth where they, rolled them over, and I think perhaps in some of these games coming up, maybe not. Apart from the Newcastle game, I could see them scoring sort of 2 to 3 goals in most of those upcoming games after that, because they're going to be on such a high after that City result. I know we've had the international break to sort of stop that momentum a little bit, but I kind of think they'll get it back again fairly quickly, and kind of fancy them to win against Chelsea this weekend.
Yeah, how do you see that one going?
I think they'll win. I think they'll win again. I mean, they've got to. They've got in the mentality at the moment where they know they're in the title race. I think it means more to them, and every point is, as it is for the other teams as well, but every point is crucial this season. So I don't think they should go there with any fear anyway. And I could see them getting a good result at Chelsea. I'd maybe predict like a 2-1 maybe, or a 1-0.
Yeah, it's tough because like I could play Gabriel or I could put him first bench. I'm not that confident on obviously Cash doing that much against West Ham. So, but it is at home. Villa are pretty good at home. So there is, I don't know, Gabriel first bench over Anderson is something to consider. I think it could be low scoring-ish. And it's just whether I think Chelsea score, which I probably don't think so. But I also kind of think that Palmer was in good form, and I feel like he might get something.
Is he going to be back? I thought he had an injury. I saw he picked up an injury on it. He got substituted in his England under 20 or 21 game, but I haven't seen a lot about it.
I didn't know that.
I know he got taken off, but I don't know if he's out. But
interesting.
No. But regardless, I mean, I've still got Saka, and I would probably be looking at. I haven't got any defender, but a defender and maybe an attacker for the Sheffield United game. So a bit of digging to do. All right. Well, I'll pick up on another person there. So it's difficult to talk about the picks I want because some of them just seem so highly owned. It wasn't even like they were a differential, but I kind of feel that Matoma is a differential for active players, if that makes sense. Like he's lingering towards going towards a price drop all international break. He's 6.6 at the moment. He's going to go down to 6.5 hopefully. He's owned by 39% now, so he's only had like a 1% drop since we did the show last week. But I think most of those are auto selection from the start of the season, because why people will be getting rid of him now ahead of this run, I don't know. So Fulham, Everton, Sheffield United, Nottingham Forest, Chelsea, Brentford, Burnley, and they've got some cracking home fixtures in there. He's started started 6 of 8 games this season, average of 5.2 points per game, 6 returns in those 8 games, and you know Brighton is still posting fantastic XG numbers as a team. They're the second highest rated for XG over the course of the season so far, and he's played the most minutes of all of the Brighton midfielders, and he's still sort of putting up better metrics than all the others on a per 90 mins sort of like category, if that makes sense. So yeah, he's first against all of the other Brighton mids for XG, XA, and shots in the box. So you know, I think it's a funny one really to think I stupidly got rid of him, thinking that you know Brighton were on some tough fixture run, but I kind of think that just how good their attack is and how much weight they put on the back of that, and the fact that he is sort of like the most secure minutes wise in that attack, and also posting some decent numbers, it seems stupid. And he's at such a relatively small price as well. Like, it doesn't matter if he doesn't return every week, but he has been performing really well. I just think that he's a player that more people will probably be giving consideration to. And you know, I know they've got City away this weekend, so I mean that's a perfect game really for his price to drop 0.1 more. But
yeah,
on the back of that, I'm thinking I need him in almost straight away, because short-term fixture's fantastic.
For me, at that sort of price point, I obviously have Diaby in my team, where the fixtures are pretty much just as good, where it's West Ham, Luton, Forest, Fulham in the next 4. So it's like, you know, which one do I pick there? Maybe Maddison could sort of go to Matoma, and then I could maybe possibly move Son. Say you could get rid of all Spurs to bring in Matoma and stuff like that. So because Spurs fixtures sort of from 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 and 16 are kind of tough. So it's Chelsea, Wolves, Villa, Man City, West Ham, Newcastle. I know. So that's the run of like 5 weeks. That's pretty tough for Spurs. So yeah, that's probably the good thing of wildcarding game week 10 is that you probably are not having many Spurs players, other than possibly Maddison. But there is that swing of just bringing in the other teams like Diaby or Matoma and stuff like that, where So no, I actually like Matoma. I feel like at the 39%, he's going to be harder to not own. We've seen it this season already. Whenever he comes on or whenever he returns, it equals a red arrow. Simple as that. So I've been burnt by him so far, and I definitely will want to be on him. It's probably going to be a Maddison out to him, as it sounds like.
It's interesting. Like I feel it was obviously the fixtures, wasn't it, in the short term which made Spurs. But I kind of look back at Son now, and even though he's obviously scored so well and he's the second highest scoring mid, the fact that he's done all those returns and he's not been in my team, I kind of feel like he's never going to he's never going to return for me, but he will. And at the moment, it just looks like so much money invested in the Spurs attack, and we've had it again already so far this season with United. You've had it with Arsenal a little bit. I don't know if either of us have had a game where both of the maybe it was Rashford and Bruno actually in that one game against Forest, but either of the expensive assets have returned at the same time, and I don't know. That's why I feel a bit funny about doing the double attack sometimes, just because if the team has a bad day, it's just so much money invested in 2 players for paltry returns. I'd probably rather keep Maddison than Son, just because the price we bought him at, it's so much less investment, and their points totals are not that different. He's like 7 points, but Maddison's like 7 points behind Son.
Yeah, I agree. I think just for budget wise for me, I think that would be something I would do. I think I'd happily sell Son, I think. But also like for Son, when the fixtures get tougher, he seems to be able to get more returns because he's gets more space. So he's sort of an anti-fixture swing kind of guy. And he's only actually had returns in 3 games out of 8, but he's obviously got holes in those 2 games. So it's get on him at the right time. It seems like we've missed it every time. Hopefully, this Fulham game can be his last hurrah. and be happy with that.
He's absolutely. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but he's absolutely going for me after the Fulham game, and then it ties in with their, like you say, their poorer run. But I've got money tied up in him that really I could do with like spending or distributing elsewhere on my squad. I look at Morris, Mwembo, Hit, Son, and maybe a defender in, but just like the money I've got tied up in him, if he's not producing like enough more than Maddison, he's just not worth the price difference. So
speaking of Morris, he's like the fifth highest scoring forward in the game, which is mental.
Is that what for like actual striker forward?
Yeah, strikers. Yeah,
he has been good. And when I was looking at some of the numbers, like he's not actually that far behind Watkins for like shots in the box over the last 4. It's not like any stats I was looking at too detailed to like comment on the show, but yeah, when I was just looking at forwards to replace him with, he wasn't actually like that far behind Watkins. So he's, for 5.5, he's getting the chances, and I don't think there's a as good option in the 5.5 to let's say 6 million bracket in midfield. Like I've got Gordon mentioned in a minute and Neto, but I don't know if they're as good value as Morris's.
So when like Watkins eventually gets moved to like City or something, Morris to Villa, that sounds good.
Oh, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Yeah. I'd follow him to the end of the world.
Yeah.
But no.
All right. So yeah, my next one to mention is Trent. Seems like a bit of an odd one with how he's gone so this far this season.
You just want to get Trent this season, don't you? I felt like you were close on the wild card to have him.
I was really close, but it's just his funds. Like I just couldn't do it, unfortunately. It just means you can't have a Maddison or you can't have a Diaby and stuff like that, and it just wasn't worth it at the time. But the fixtures are like so good after the break. Everton, Forest at home, the next 2, and then Luton away. Obviously, the next 3 sound amazing. Brentford at home after that, which is fine too, and then City. And then they got Fulham, Sheffield United, Crystal Palace after that. So those are all like really good, obviously, other than the City one. It's kind of odd to me that I only have Salah in a run of that good.
Yeah.
For Liverpool's fixtures. Obviously, it's kind of hard to own any of them right now, but we saw with Trippier, his fixture swing, equaled points. And, we've seen what Trent can do. We know what Liverpool are a good team, and they are going to keep some clean sheets in these ones. They must do, surely. It's if you can get there, I feel like he's absolutely worth the punt at the 8.1% owned. He's going to start returning soon. I'm pretty sure. But he does seem to be playing his traditional right back role, which for me, I feel like it probably is better for him. That's where he has traditionally got most of his returns. But yeah, he's had 1 assist so far, 1 clean sheet so far, which obviously isn't great. Missed 3 games, played 79 minutes in his full return versus Brighton last week. Played 90 for England against Australia. He did blank in that, but he did get a clean sheet, obviously. So, his stats obviously aren't great for the amount of minutes he's missed. But he's had 5 shots, which is pretty low, even for the amount of minutes he's played. 0 big chances himself, XG of 0.19, but then he's had 10 key passes, which is 7th for defenders, despite playing about 300 odd minutes less than most of them ahead of him. 1 big chance created, which is not great, but an XA of 0.6, which is fairly decent-ish. So I don't believe like the Everton game will be that easy, because their XG has been pretty good.
I agree.
Everton have actually been a good team this year. Weirdly to say. So I think they could definitely concede in that one. But then Forest at home seems like a good one. Luton away seems like definitely a good one. Team XGC for defensive wise is 11.4 with 9 conceded. So that they're performing or overperforming, I guess. So that's probably a good sign that they're in the fixture swing that he can get some clean sheets. So it's sort of like the same as Martinelli, where it's like a fixture swing and the history and the potential is just obviously all there. When someone is so low owned, and we've seen what they can do, it's you need to take advantage sometimes. Obviously, I can't, but I would love to.
I think you just look at his price, and it's just so difficult to justify what the template's like this season. I think, but the fact that he's $1 million more expensive than Trippier, is crazy. That bridge between him and the second highest. But we know what sort of season Trippier had last season. And fair enough, Trent had a really good end to last season. But for there to was it 1.5 million at the start of the season? Didn't Trippier start at 6.5? So I mean, it's such a huge difference. And you're right. in seasons past, we would absolutely. I mean, Trent would be in our team game week once anyway, so we wouldn't need to query like bringing him in. But now, yeah, you're right. You look at this fixture run for Liverpool, and it's long-term good fixtures, and apart from that Man City away game, I'd say, and you'd like to have him in there, but it's just so hard to I don't know, wiggle him into the team because of when you have Salah, Saka, Haaland, and maybe even Son in some people's teams. Like, how the hell do you spend your budget?
Yeah, he's what 7.9 million versus like I don't know, Martinelli is 7.7 million mid. Like Martinelli's probably going to get way more points you'd expect with how obviously Trent's been playing recently, and Liverpool, I suppose, defensively. And then Bowen is cheaper than him. Players like that, like they're probably going to outscore him by a long way.
I'm just trying to see how much Maddison was, because like before the international break, because he's 8.1 now. I don't know if he's had 2 price rises, but if he's only 0.2 cheaper than Maddison, I kind of feel like what Maddison's given us so far this season. Yeah, and I don't know if Trent's up to that form wise, even with fixtures. It's a shame that I don't know. He's not an easier fit in the team.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to come back to it after these sort of fixtures have played out and see what the value is between a Trent and a Maddison and a Martinelli sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, shall I pick up on just one player who I really want to own, and you mentioned just them. It's Bowen, and I think it's still strange to me that 18%. I had a look at the ownership. It's still like so much less than I would expect it to be. So he's not the biggest differential. Fair enough. You did kind of expect a differential maybe less than like 10%. But considering he's the 4th highest scoring mid, he's only owned by 18% of the game. Madison's, like we just mentioned, 5th highest scoring mid in the game. He's got nearly 40% ownership, and I can almost put that down to like a club preference. Like why would you not have Bowen over Maddison?
It's the thing where I mentioned like we were talking about Matoma. I'm like, oh yeah, I need Matoma for these fixtures. Whereas it's like, why am I not just getting Bowen?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. He's like playing pretty much centre forward when Antonio's out. He's playing on the wing. The only downside, which I think maybe is part of the reason to it, is just West Ham aren't as attacking. Like he's really involved when his goal involvement is higher than all the other West Ham players, which you would expect because he's got 6 returns in 8 games and he's playing 90 minutes every game, and he might be on pens, which might boost his appeal. But like West Ham as an attacking side is not great. They're 11th best for XG over the first 8 game weeks, which that's just slightly in the bottom half of the table. So I think maybe when you put it like that, it kind of makes sense that he hasn't got a higher ownership. But yeah, he's been great. So the last 4 fixtures, right? He's played Newcastle, Man City, and Liverpool. I think only of those, I think Liverpool was an away game. And he, in that time, just against him and other mids, he was third for shots in the box, only behind Rashford and Richarlison. 3 big chances, which was the 2nd highest total overall. So I think it was like 7 players that had 4 big chances. He obviously wasn't that high on the XG, so 10th for XG of 1.29, and he scored 2 goals in that time. So, considering that was a really bad run of fixtures for him, and his underlying numbers were good, and he still got 2 returns in that time, I kind of think from this long spell of games he's got, which we spoke about last week, and even the week before, Aston Villa away, they can score, in Everton at home, Brentford away, who've not been playing well, Forest at home, Burnley away, Crystal Palace at home. I mean, it's great. And he's, at the moment, of all the players I want to have in my team that we're talking about tonight, he's absolutely the one that is going to replace Son for me, because he's as important to West Ham at the moment, I'd say, as probably you can get from a goals and assist point of view. And maybe the fact that he's more important to West Ham is a better option than Son being to Spurs, because I'd say Son and Maddison have like a shared importance on their side.
Yeah, I agree. I think they need to drop Antonio. They need to play him up front. They need to start Kudus on the left or the right or whatever it is, and start owning teams that way, because Antonio just seems to be really old and slow, and maybe not old, but just slow and just less effective than he used to be. So just get Bowen up there, see what he can do, and actually play your star signing in Kudus, young talent who absolutely is too good to be benched. So
what a baller goal he scored as well against Newcastle. Like I like that goal.
yes, yeah,
That was nice.
indeed. Yeah. So yeah, there's obviously great potential. As I think we mentioned last week, if he does go up front, is that going to hurt his potential? Guess we'll see. But obviously, in our position, striker is usually a good thing. So yeah, I want him to. Think I've going to have 2 free transfers because I'm rolling this week. So next week I can absolutely look at him in Bowen and a Matoma and from Madison and Sun. Seems quite good. Quite good.
I think it does as well. What does is it Champions League back next week as well? Do they just jump straight back?
I assume it must be. Yeah.
I kind of think it might be. So that might be, one to watch because he has played in some of those Europa League games, so we can keep an eye on him. But no, he's absolutely top of the list as things stand like now to replace Son for game week 10. It will be.
Yep, like it.
Someone in the chat, Frode says thoughts on Souček so as a cheap fifth mid. So it's funny you should say that because I was looking at I just noticed Souček's numbers when I was looking at Bowen, and I think he's either got the same or had more big chances than Bowen has had. I didn't write it down because it just like over a longer period, Souček's stats weren't as good as James Ward-Prowse. But yeah, he's had more big chances I think than Bowen like the last 4 games, which maybe that's indicative of how they're playing now with Ward-Prowse on set pieces, and perhaps Souček's got that license to get back in the box again and be a threat. So I probably wouldn't have him as a fifth mid personally, but I have had him in previous seasons and he was good.
Yeah, he's playing a bit more of an 8 role, I think, because of Edison Alvarez that came in. Who's the deep lying. He's sort of allowed him to go forward a bit more. And obviously, set pieces, he's always going to be in there, and they always have the chance that they've got a lot of height in that team. And obviously, Ward-Prowse is so good at the set pieces. So if you need that sort of budget and you want to play him as a fifth, I have no issue to put him in there. But there obviously is better options. He's not going to return every week, but the fixtures are there. And with Ward-Prowse, there's always that chance. So
and he starts as well, doesn't he? And he's I just had a look now. He's 4.9 million. So like he's
90 every week, I imagine too.
I'm just looking. It's actually not because he's missed a few games, but maybe he had a slight knock. But there or thereabouts, and he's going to play. So 4.9 million. If you were going to play him as a fifth mid, maybe to have an expensive striker, wouldn't be the end of the world probably.
Yep.
All right. Anyone else? Who else do you want to touch on?
Yeah. So another sort of one that's a little bit out there. I know. He's 6.5% owned now. So some people do have him, but that's Højlund, who is now on the screen there. 7.2 million. He's got 2 price rises out of nowhere. But yeah, Sheffield United next, obviously a fixture to target. Then he's got Man City, which is obviously not great. But then Fulham, Luton after that, Everton, that's a good 3 in a row. Newcastle, then Chelsea. So the fixtures are slightly mixed, but there is definitely good fixtures in there to target. Seems to be playing all the minutes now. He seems to be fine and fit. Obviously had 0 returns in the Premier League, but he's had 3 goals in the Champions League, 2 versus Galatasaray, 1 versus Bayern. He scored for Denmark over the break as well against San Marino, I think it was. So obviously a terrible team, but still scored.
It was a good goal.
Keeping up a bit of, I didn't know.
Oh, it was a great finish. It was really nice. He complained, didn't they? They were all kicking him. Did you see that?
Okay, right.
Yeah, he put like a tweet out saying, I can't believe all the players were kicking me.
Well, obviously keeping up a bit of form, so good for him. United are obviously still a mess. I don't know what the sort of situation coming back after international breaks are, if they're happy enough to play for their countries and then the mess continues when they get back. Who knows? But his Prem stats are an XG of 0.24, an XA of 0.03, which is basically nothing. But I guess it's a bit of a gut feeling, like especially in the next game. Yeah. I think are they away or at home?
They're away against Sheffield United.
They're away. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of think they're going to lose that game.
Really?
Yeah, I hope they don't. Well, Sheffield United haven't won yet, have they? So typical.
Stranger things have happened, I suppose. But gut feeling for me says that he's going to get something, at least like a goal, maybe a goal assist. And obviously, Rashford and him are starting to link a little bit better. Rashford scoring and the break is obviously not going to harm his confidence. Bruno, good form as well. So it's one of these days, like a team is going to get a smashing from United one of these days, and it could be this game.
I hope. Oh yeah, I hope as a United fan, I hope it's this game week. I like Højlund a lot. Like his goals and his finishes are really nice, but just worry about United. Like I saw Casemiro played 90 minutes last night. Amrabat was apparently injured, which is why he didn't play. So I don't know. It just feels like every few days there's a new injury, and there's all this shit about the owners, and the takeover still is bubbling in the background. Just doesn't seem peaceful, and just I don't know. I can't see myself owning any United player as much as I really like him, and I do think he looks quality. Maybe, and he's got like
it's
a bit
just
of
like
stardust about him.
Obviously, I've just sold Rashford and Bruno on the wild card, and I just feel like I got rid of them before an easy game, and then there's this Sheffield United fixture that I'm just like, oh god, I kind of want something in that fixture still, and Højlund is the other one on the end of the stick. But yeah, the Sheffield United worst XGC in the league at 19.6, 176 shots conceded, which is the last as well. The next worst is 149, and they've conceded 118 shots in the box, which is last as well. So, and that is obviously Højlund's area. So, yeah, I like his chances of doing something. I think Bruno, possibly Rashford, get something too. But yeah, you obviously don't. You think we could lose? But yeah, we'll see.
It's just I've got no confidence, which is maybe I'm not. I'm looking at it as a fan rather than as looking at the teams. Like on paper, you'd say that yeah, they should win because Sheffield United look awful, but from like a confidence point of view, I mean, they barely seem to win against Burnley away, and it took like a pretty good goal from Bruno rather than like a nice like pattern of play build up. So see, why don't you get rid of Alvarez, Keek, and get Højlund in for this great run of fixtures? Sheffield United, Fulham and Luton and Everton in the next 4. Let's ignore that City game.
Let's just say I need to roll the transfer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk. So I've got one more player to pick.
I mean, but Alvarez is going to be a better option this week for sure than or is going to be a worse option this week than.
Why do you think that?
Because Højlund's got Sheffield United.
Oh, I see. Right, from that point of view. Yeah, but yeah, okay. All right, last player for me to touch on is, somewhat, we talked about enablers just a minute ago, and I think this player is that, and maybe a little bit more. Gordon from, I kind of think I'm surprised really at how many points he's got, and again why he's such low ownership. So 6%. He's obviously just had his 1 match ban for all these yellow cards he's been picking up, which made me laugh. But 5.6 million. So I was looking at this price point, both in attack and midfield, to see if there is any options better than Morris because of the structure of my team in the minute, or basically do I have to downgrade Son basically? And I think, to be honest, it looks like downgrade.
Get Souček basically.
Yeah, get Souček. Yeah, for 4.9. But he's doing really well. Like their fixtures are really mixed at the moment. Newcastle now, but based on how well they played against PSG at home, they're like typically good under how I don't really think any of their home games are bad fixtures. Like if I had a Newcastle, well, I do have a Newcastle defender, but I kind of back them to get a clean sheet in every home game they play, like such as like the regard I like think of their back line. So yeah, I think he seems quite nailed now as well, with Barnes out potentially until the new year. He's obviously set in that wide position. So in the 6 games he started this season, 3 of them he's got subbed off, so he's not going to play 90 minutes every week. But of those 6 he's played, he's only blanked twice and got 6 returns in 8 games. His stats aren't great. So, like, to be quite frank about them, like XG of 0.27 per 90 is about 20 best of all mids. XA of 0.2 per 90 is about 15th best of all mids. But like he seems to me as like a really good enabler in an attack. I think the main thing really to back him up is the fact that Newcastle is such a good attacking side. They're top after 8 games this season for XG.
Yeah, which is a bit of a surprise, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I imagine it's boosted a lot probably by that Sheffield United game. But they scored like a lot of goals against Aston Villa at home, and on the first day, and on their day at home, like even against PSG, I don't think either of us. I thought they'd win, but I don't think they'd scored 4 goals against PSG. And on their day, they can just slap people, and I think they've got such good momentum at playing at home. I don't know, maybe not the Crystal Palace game, but I kind of think in the better games or the bigger games, their crowd are more up for it. What about the Spurs game last season, when they were at home. I know Spurs were going through it at the time, but they were like battered them in the first half. When it was like 4 or 5-0, and they could just get into a rhythm. So anyway, so what I'm trying to say is I don't think Gordon's numbers are great, but his returns have been good. So perhaps he's just been, quite clinical. He's going to play because Barnes is injured, and he's quite an inexpensive price, so it's not much of a risk to enable someone else. So yeah, he's someone I'm definitely thinking about. And if I can't, afford Matoma in the structure I want, or if I decide to keep Son, Gordon is a good option to squeeze into my team, basically. I don't know. What do you think?
I like him, but I feel like I can't see why many people would need to go there. Almost like you kind of, the only reason I could see you needing to go there is if you want to get like a Darwin, a Watkins plus a Haaland like top line or something like, or plus like a Jesus, like you go for a really expensive third forward. Otherwise, it just doesn't really seem like you would ever sort of need him, because my fourth mid obviously is Diaby, and then I have a cheaper one which is a bench fodder, but. The fifth one is probably usually someone like a Diaby if you're going for a 3-5-2, because you have like a 4.4 fodder on the bench that says it. You never really have the sort of funds or the reason to go for him,
True. I think that, so the only reason he sort of came up into my thinking is because essentially my team structure, or how I've got it laid out at the moment, is because I've got Morris at that 5.5 million. And I've got Son, Saka and Salah and Maddison in midfield with Mbeumo. I found that if I got rid of Mbeumo, I had enough money in the bank to get to, let's say, a 7 million forward. So so the option was could either have, let's say, Morris and Mbeumo, or Matoma, or Gordon and Alvarez. So he just came into my thinking as like a nice option to get to sort of a low-priced striker. And, I think he looks like he's going to be nailed in the team, and he has returned. It's not like he's obviously done better than Morris so far this season. So yeah.
Is that what you're thinking of going from Morris to Alvarez?
I'm not sure. I would prefer to get to Watkins, to be honest. I just think the security of starts, and maybe even 2 weeks ago, I kind of thought, Diaby looks like the guy. Diaby's cheaper than Watkins. He's playing up front, but I don't think Diaby could have hauled like Watkins can. Do you know what I mean by that? Do you think he could?
No. Well, he has done. He has got a couple like goals plus assist returns in some matches. So, and I wouldn't be too put off by the last game. It's just a little bit of a weird one. Yeah. So, and it obviously wasn't fully fit. So I think after this break, like I'm absolutely backing Diaby to do some bits.
So interesting. I'll bring up our teams now because we can just chat about that. I'll start with mine first since we're just talking about it. But again, it hasn't really changed much since last week for anyone that had joined us, just because it feels like not much has happened. But what I'm looking at for after this week, so I'm planning to roll because, like I said last week, I think most of my fixtures are good this weekend, and obviously it makes me seem if Botman and Saka come back, but the consensus
I think they both will,
that they'd probably be okay. And even then, I don't mind Anderson off the bench. But yeah, next week, so what I can, like I say, I'm thinking of taking Son out for Bowen, and I'd like to get to Watkins from Morris. And doing that, I need about like 0.1 or 0.2, which I could get from getting Mwembo to Matoma if he goes down. So that is my ideal 3 moves. So I need Matoma to drop 0.1, and then I can afford that 3 switch. And I just maybe have to wait a week or 2 on Gabriel or something. But yeah, it's just trying to play with those 3 positions. I think they're okay for this week, but longer term, I just want to get on West Ham, Villa, and Brighton. And if Matoma drops 0.1, I can do it in like in 1 week, which seems quite nice. So yeah, so I could either do with Son going up in price once more, or Matoma coming down in price to do that.
Yeah, like it. Those seem like good moves to me. And then obviously if Matoma doesn't go down, then you pick Gordon, I guess.
Yeah, Gordon, or maybe I don't really want to go back to Solly March as an idea again because he's just been a pain. But I just like Brighton's fixtures, and don't know. He seems like it'll be someone basically in between Matoma's price to Gordon's price, and he looks like he could be, one of the most reliable at that price point. And he would also give me a bit of money elsewhere as well, because he's obviously that like he's 0.8 or so cheaper. So
is Bell back out like long term?
I don't know, to be honest. I've not checked up on that. He had the red flag on last week, and I know that it was hamstring related, and that's usually like 4 or 5 weeks. So that is a bit irritating, but you know, it is what it is. I don't think I'm going to make a transfer of him.
You've still got Saka in there, which is a step forward than most people right now. So yeah, looks good.
Yeah, I think if Saka plays this weekend, I'll be happy, because like you say, that's like a transfer I don't need to make next week, and I can. Yeah, I'm not trying to get Saka in as well as, let's say, I don't think many players, would you agree, have got in teams I see that have got Brighton players already in there?
Not really.
No, I feel like, and even West Ham as well. I don't think, like I say, Bowen's ownership's not that high. So if I can get to like a Brighton and West Ham player, I'll be pleased. And I feel like I'm a bit on the back burner when it comes to Villa, because some people have already got them for this week. But if I can get for next week, I'll be happy.
Yep, sounds good.
Cool.
Good team.
Let's swap over and talk about you. Talk about you. Oh, also, we haven't changed captaincy, have we? We're both still on Haaland.
Yeah, for sure, Haaland. Yeah, okay. That's not going to change. I think Salah played 2 games for Egypt over the break. Didn't do anything in either of them. No goals, no assists. So,
oh god,
form gone.
Oh no.
Yeah, and obviously it is the first game of the week, and Klopp hates those fixtures. Liverpool seem to not do that great in them. Everton, we think, is going to be a tough, but it's obviously a derby fixture, probably going to be up for it. So yeah, I'm not backing him to do massive bits there. I think he can do well, but not enough to captain him.
No.
So yeah, Haaland for sure. And then the only thing in my team that I need to decide really is Gabriel versus Anderson first bench. That's it. Even Taylor could go first bench. Brentford look pretty bad right now.
Yeah.
So
I probably wouldn't have Gabriel first bench.
Wouldn't.
No, I don't think so. No, I think. I don't know. Has Anderson even got any minutes in the last game?
Yeah, he played 90. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd probably keep Anderson. Maybe Crystal Palace don't score, and he comes on with 3 points, but. I don't know who's even going to miss out from your front line anyway, like totally. So like unless it's a big surprise, and Alvarez maybe.
Alvarez could do with these fixtures in South America. Yeah.
So he's a maybe, but then you'd expect maybe like 3 points from Anderson if he started at a minimum. So whereas I don't know if I could rely on a Gabriel clean sheet as much.
Yep, you're probably right.
Yeah. I just think your team's exciting because you've got all the home games locked in, ready to go.
Oh yeah, because every single player was away last week, so yeah.
They're all like, you kind of look at that the team of all home fixtures, and you kind of think that, well, how am I not getting like a huge score this week?
Oh, this is the week where it's like 30 points max.
Man, the games after I don't know if there's any stats on it, but like the games after an international break are always such letdowns. Like you're like excited for 2 weeks. FPL's coming back. I've got football to look forward to, and then it's honestly like a 30-point week forever. Like there'll just be people who have no ownership scoring. Who's going to score? Simicast is going to score for Liverpool, assisted by Matip or something.
Luckily, I feel like I can be a bit not scared of this week of just like I feel like I own most people that I'm scared of.
Yeah. Or would be scared.
Yeah. So like I don't know how I can get into a really depressed mood on Saturday. So hopefully it's alright.
Yeah. Oh God, Kieran. Yeah, I don't know. The fixtures spread out a little bit over the weekend. I know it's the early kickoff is Liverpool Everton. I think it's Sheffield United. So United could ruin. They're not in your team, but they could ruin your Saturday night because
that's true. Rashford and Brentford. Yeah, Rashford and Bruno could
score, or United could just lose. You probably wouldn't be as bothered. There's only one game on Sunday. It's Villa against West Ham.
What are they doing this for? What is that?
Oh, it's so annoying. See, that makes me think I want to get a player in this week anyway, so then I've got something to be interested in that week.
Yeah,
so annoying. I hate it when that happens.
The fixtures have been pretty much all over the place this season.
Yeah, why couldn't the Liverpool Everton game be Sunday, like in the day?
Well, the Sheffield United Man United one. Why is that on at 8 o'clock on a Saturday?
Yeah, don't know. That's the second time United have played that slot this season. It sucks.
Yeah, don't get it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, there's something to think about. I like having a day when the players are playing, but I don't know if I.
Yeah, the Fulham on a Monday night.
Monday night, yeah.
Could be an awkward one for Spurs. I don't think Fulham is that bad as people say they are. So
No, I think.
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I think there's I think we'll have a better picture this time next week of it again because while it's international break, it's hard just to keep track of form and players. So no, it'd be good to get back into it. All right, is there any more you want to add before we wrap up?
No, we covered most stuff over the last 2 weeks. So yeah,
we're just looking forward to getting the football back.
Indeed.
Hopefully seeing some holes. Mwembo, Morris. Oh yeah. Also, absolutely this week, Morris is scoring. I've just got this feeling. Away at Nottingham Forest, just seems like a Morris game to me.
Yeah.
Do you feel confident about that?
Yeah, he probably will.
Thank you. That's what I needed to hear. Right.
Frode in the chat thinks Jota will haul this week. That could certainly happen as well.
That's a spicy.
Yeah, I could see him starting over Diaz because obviously Diaz playing far away. So yeah, I think Darwin should start if anyone has him because they don't have a striker at the moment. So I think he'll start. But yeah, Diaz could be benched and Jota, yeah, absolutely. It could be a nice punt.
Could be a nice punt. Super sexy. All right. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you this time next week. With our scores and stuff.
Yep, hopefully good.
Yeah. Bye guys. Bye.